Hello, this is Reverend Sam Flynn. I'm here with you today during Uplift, and I'm happy to be with you. I hope you're having a great day or night, whatever it happens to be. And let's start where we always start, and that is with prayer. So just knowing here today that it is a day filled with Spirit, and that is indeed an experience of love. It is an experience of relaxation and grace. And just knowing that right here today, that we are indeed in an experience of knowing that all is well and that all is good and that life indeed is ever expanding, and knowing that in this time we are given an opportunity to know an even greater experience of ourselves and that inner place of peace given to the understanding that indeed God is within each of us, pure and good and simple and sure. So it is in that foundation of goodness that I know all is well, and I surrender our time now, knowing it is perfect, and I simply let it be, and so it is. So I'm happy to be with you today, and I'm going to be talking today about the idea of commencement, because I've been hearing on the news that talking about commencement and schools having their commencement ceremonies. And, you know, after this past year of not having commencement ceremonies, I've been hearing that schools will be having ceremonies, live ceremonies, and people are really excited about that. And so I've been thinking about those a lot because I remember my own, and I had so much fun at those with the caps and gowns and things like that. And so I've been thinking about that idea of commencement a lot, and how exciting it is. And you know, I always thought that word commencement meant an ending of something. I mean, we're finishing up all those years of schooling and everything, and so I always thought commencement meant ending, you know, but it really means beginning. The word commencement is a beginning of something, and so that's what people are celebrating at a commencement ceremony. It's a graduation ceremony, but it's a commencement of a new life. And so that's what interested me, and that's what brought about this idea of talking about commencement today, because it is such a special event for schools and families and that sort of thing. And so checking out the meaning of commencement, you know, it means beginning or initiation or sometimes restoration or launching, something like that. You know, those kinds of words. And it was just interesting to me when I noticed that. And so when I was thinking about it during recent weeks, you know, when I was thinking about doing this talk, I just found out there were so many different writings and authors about commencement, the ideas of commencement and beginnings and things like that. And so I Googled it, of course, books and things, and there's so many. Just a couple of examples. Getting Unstuck by Timothy Butler. Another one is The House of New Beginnings by Lucy Diamond. Another one, The Summer of New Beginnings by Betty Lee. Fall Beginnings by Enchanted Books. And then Commencement by Courtney Sullivan. I mean, there were hundreds of them. The list goes on and on. I probably had 2 pages worth of lists of books and things about new beginnings and commencement. So when I tried to research the topic on the computer and stuff, I just really kind of had to go into my own ideas about what I thought about it. So I thought about what kind of commencements, what do we commence in our lives? What do we begin? And I thought about weddings. You know, we begin weddings. School's a new event. School is something. We move to new locations, so that's a commencement. We might say we're going to start having new manners with other people. We might have new types of eating. We're commencing new types of eating. We might have new exercise habits, or we might start trying to have more positive thinking. So all these are things that we might commence or have new beginnings toward. And so these are ways of, different things that we're starting, just different things that we're starting. And so I thought of, really, they come in three categories. Commencements become in three categories for us. They come in events, they come in behaviors or ways of being. Events, behaviors, or ways of being. So almost anything that we start in our lives or one of those three categories. And so these are things. These are forms that we have in our lives that begin or commence. And so that's like the manifestation. That's the form world, okay? And so then I started thinking, well, why do we have these? Why do we commence something? Why do we begin something new? And so taking that up a level, why do we start a new habit? Or why do we have a wedding? Or why do we have school starting? Dale Carnegie, he writes, the person who gets the farthest is generally the one who is willing to do and to dare. The sure thing boat never gets very far from shore. So I love that. The sure thing boat never gets very far from shore. If you never try something new, you never get very far, right? And so why do we start something new? Why do we commence something? Some people just do it just because. I'm going to try something new just because I want to. That's a good reason, right? Sometimes we start something new. Sometimes we commence because a major life event happens, a wedding or a death, or you have a new baby, or maybe a new decade of life comes along, or maybe you have a divorce, some kind of life event happens that causes you to commence something new. So there's some kind of marker in your life. Or maybe there's the next category, behavior happens, some new behavior that you want to begin something new. Maybe you want to start an exercise program. Maybe you want to change your eating habits. Maybe you want to start dressing in a new way, Maybe you want to change your style of clothing, start dressing a little bit better. Or maybe you want to dress down. Maybe you don't care about dressing as well anymore. Maybe you want to have a recovery from addiction. Changing some kind of behavior. That's something that, you want to commence something new. Or maybe the third category is a way of being in the world. So these are more general kind of category, but maybe you want to be more kind. So you'll start noticing and being more mindful of how kind you are and how kind are you to other people. Maybe you want to be more mindful. How present am I? How present am I in each moment? Self-care. Maybe I want to take time to be present with myself. Maybe I want to be attentive to people, to other people, Maybe I don't want to think about myself all the time. Maybe I want to think about other people too. So again, these are things to be more mindful of, ways of being in the world. So these are why I might want to have commencements. Why I might want to have new beginnings. Okay? So then moving, sort of expanding on this idea, how do we actually do these commencements? How do we actually commence a project or an idea or a behavior or an event? How do we do it? So the first part, have a ceremony. That's what schools do. They have this giant ceremony with all these people coming. Well, at least, maybe not right now. Maybe now we're doing it virtually, but in times past and in the future coming up, they're going to have large ceremonies with lots of people. But you know what? In our lives, it doesn't have to be a huge ceremony. It can be some kind of a marker, any kind of a marker to mark this new beginning. It can be creating a room to note the event, maybe a baby's new room, or a meditation room, or a self-care room, an exercise room, something like this, just to mark this new beginning for you. Maybe it can be a closet, a special closet that where you hang new clothes, or maybe a shelf somewhere in the house where you might put equipment or something, some kind of marker that marks this new beginning for you. Maybe a space for your books or a space for journaling equipment or something like these. Any way to show an aspect of your life that has this marker. Another tool to use for marking a commencement is to enlist the help of others or ask someone to be a witness for this new part of your life. So asking a friend for help, that's an important thing or a helpful thing. Or how about asking a coworker to be a witness, just to hear the story, just to listen. Hey, what's happening? Let me tell you what's happening, okay? That's a very, very helpful thing to do as you're marking your new story of your life. Or just letting your family know, hey, something's going to be different here in the future. Something's going to be different about me, especially right at this first part where I'm trying to adjust to this new aspect of my behavior or my way of thinking. There's something that's going to be different. And you might notice this, okay? So just, talk to me about it, or I'll talk to you, and just here it's coming, okay? So that's the next thing. And so this next thing I'm going to tell you is the most important step of the journey. And that is just do it. Just do it. That is my favorite part of the journey. Just do it. Just start, okay? And I say that really for myself. I like to tell you, but I also like to say it for myself because I can be a procrastinator. A lot of these things are voluntary, choices that I make to commence something new, and I tend to be a procrastinator sometimes, so just do it, I tell myself. And I just say it for you because it's part of this list, okay? But just do it. J.K. Rowling, he writes, "It is impossible to live without failing at something unless you do, if you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you fail by default." So it is impossible to live without failing at something. Now, this quote might seem a little negative because it talks about failing so much, and that isn't my intention at all. My intention is to point out that trying is the positive effort of anything at life. Trying is the positive intent. And it is the positive outcome of any endeavor. So I have another quote, and it's my own quote, believe it or not, which I was kind of excited about because usually I look up quotes on the computer and try to find quotes of other people, but I made up one myself. If you believe in what you're doing, just do it. You'll keep getting there. If you just do it, you'll keep getting there. So trying is the positive outcome of any endeavor, okay? So if it's spiritual guidance that you're getting, just do it. Because once you start, you'll either get guidance to continue, you'll get guidance to stop, you'll get guidance to do it in a different way, you'll get guidance to turn around and go in a different direction. But if you just start, that's the point of the whole thing. So all this commencing, all this beginning and starting, the spiritual guidance you're getting is saying, just do it, just start. And so all these steps that I've been giving you are giving you tools to listen to that guidance you're getting from your heart, okay? So the important part is just to start, just do it. And so one of the quotes that I love the most was Oprah, and she said, "Sometimes you find out what you're supposed to be doing by doing the things you're not supposed to do." So that's what I mean. If you just start, you'll find out you're not supposed to be doing it, or you're supposed to be doing it, or you're supposed to be doing it a different way. So anyway, that's my point. Just start doing it. And so it all goes back to our spiritual nature, we are expressions of God. And so we always have at the very center of us love, balance, beauty, wholeness, order, harmony, all of these qualities of God within us that are leading and guiding the way of all of these choices and all of these beginnings and all of this commencement that's happening. And that's what's leading the way. That's what's giving us the fuel. That's what's embracing us through all of these choices. So that is what's drawing yourself to the greater expression of this commencement. So as you go through all those questions I just gave you, the what, the why, the how, that is the spirit within you calling itself to even greater life. And so it is to, when you feel that call to create, when you feel that call to begin, go through the tools, use all the tools that you have, listen to your heart. That's where it starts, at the very center of your being. And all of those tools that are your spirit self, that are your higher self, that are God, whatever word you want to use, that is your center seeking to experience and express life. Use all those tools that I gave you and just do it. That is the call to create. Just do it. Thank you.